Hello, boys and girls. I hope that everyone is doing all right. Today, we are going to talk about chapter number 3 in the story time. Every Thursday from now on, it's gonna be story. Our story is The Man in the Iron Mask. Today, we are going to do chapter 3 under the title The Louvre, Paris. You can find this chapter in the literature book on pages 15, 16, and 17. It's going to be a small, teeny tiny chapter. I hope that you are going to enjoy it. Our learning objective for today is for you to understand the main ideas and to comprehend the main ideas and the important details in chapter number 3. Guys, if you remember, before we start with the page, if you remember in chapter number 2, uh, the bishop Aramis went to the prisoner, the young man, and his name is Philip, if you remember. And Philip, we discovered that he is the second son of Henry the 13th, and his first son Henry the 14th now is the king because Henry the 13th is dead, and Philip was imprisoned here because the soldiers of the king brought him into this place because they don't want anyone to know about him. The only one in the whole kingdom knows about, or in the whole country knows about Philip, that he is the second son of the king, is Queen Anne, his mother. Um, Plus, Aramis now knows about it because they didn't mention in the story how he knows about it, but he does. Now, the second chapter finished where Aramis was planning to get Philip out of prison because he wants him to be the king, since the king, the Henry the 14th, is a corrupted king. He is looking always for his interests and he cares about himself. He buys expensive stuff. He cares about stuff that is into his interests, and he forgets about his people, that they are hungry, and he doesn't care about his people. So Aramis' plan was to bring Philip out of prison, put him in the palace, and make him the king. Let's see in chapter number 3 what happens. The Louvre, Paris. D'Artagnan was the captain of the king's musketeers. These men, these men guarded the king. They went everywhere with King Louis. One morning, D'Artagnan met his friend Porthos at the Louvre, the king's palace in Paris. Porthos was excited. "I'm going to travel to Vaux next week, D'Artagnan," he said. "Monsieur Fouquet, the chief minister of finance, has a fine new house at Vaux. He is going to give a great feast for the king there. He has invited me to the feast. Will you be there, my friend?" So now D'Artagnan is the captain of King's Musketeers, and we said those musketeers go with the king wherever he goes to protect him. D'Artagnan was in the Louvre. The palace, the king's palace, is called the Louvre. So D'Artagnan, one morning he was in the Louvre and he met his old friend Porthos. If you remember in the note about the story, we talked about four musketeers. D'Artagnan, Porthos, Aramis, and the last one we haven't mentioned him so far now. And we said Aramis is a bishop, and Porthos is in the palace, and we have D'Artagnan now. He is still the captain of the king's musketeers. Right now, he found Porthos, or he met Porthos. Porthos there was excited, and he told D'Artagnan that the chief minister of finance has a new house, a big new house in Vaux. Vaux is an area where he built his house, and he is inviting everyone for a feast, and he is inviting the king for a feast. So, and Porthos was one of the people who was invited, and he asked not Aramis, he asked D'Artagnan to go with him. My questions: number one, what was D'Artagnan's job? Number two, what is the Louvre? And number three, where is Porthos going and why? Yes, D'Artagnan replied. I and my musketeers will be there with the king. Half an hour later, D'Artagnan and Porthos met another friend at the Louvre. It was Aramis, the Bishop of Vence. D'Artagnan was surprised. So, guys, D'Artagnan agreed and he said yes, he is going with the musketeers because they go always with the king, okay? And after half an hour, they met their third friend, Aramis. Aramis is the bishop, if you remember. And D'Artagnan was surprised and he said, Aramis, why are you at the palace? Then Aramis says, I wanted to talk to the Monsieur Fouquet. Aramis replied, but he is very busy today. He has invited me to the feast at Vaux. I will talk to him there. So Aramis was in the palace. The reason of Aramis being in the palace is to talk to Monsieur. Monsieur is the chief minister of finance. He wanted to talk to him, but it seems that the Monsieur is busy. So he was Aramis was one of the people who were invited to the feast, so he is going to find him there and he talks to him. That's what Aramis said. Earlier that day, same day earlier, Aramis had spoken to Monsieur Fouquet. The king's chief minister of finance was not a happy man. So in the same day earlier, Aramis met Monsieur, and they described Monsieur as not being a happy man. He's not a good man, yani. My friend, said Aramis, why are you sad? Everybody is talking about your feast at Vaux. You will make the king very happy. So he's asking him. It seems that Monsieur was sad, and Aramis here is asking him why was he sad. Since he's going to make the king very happy, then why he's sad? And everybody is talking about his feast in Vaux. Then Monsieur says, yes, said Fouquet, the Monsieur. The feast will be wonderful, but I have spent all my money on the house at Vaux. He is in a problem, guys. Why? Because he planned for a feast for the king, but he doesn't have the money to pay for it because he spent all his money on the house. Questions. Number one, is D'Artagnan going to attend the feast? Number two, what is Aramis doing in the palace? Number three, what was Monsieur worried about? Last word. I must have more money soon. You gave me a promise, Aramis, a promise of millions of francs. And you will have them soon, my friend, replied Aramis. You will have the money after the king's visit to Vaux, but now you must do something for me. I need a written order from you. The order will release a prisoner from the Bastille. A young man. His name is Selden. The king has sent him to prison for 10 years. So now Aramis has promised Monsieur of millions of francs, and Monsieur reminded him of that because he does not have money now. He needs the money for the feast. So Aramis assured him that he will have his money, but he wanted him to do a favor for him, to give him a letter to take a prisoner out of the Bastille. And that prisoner is a young man, and his name is Selden. Do you know that prisoner, guys? He is Philip. But Aramis here told Monsieur that his name was Selden. He never told him Philip. We gotta think about that. About the reason that he lied for him. The king has sent him to prison for 10 years. What was his crime? Asked Fouquet. Please pay attention, guys, here. He wrote some unkind words about the bishops of France, said Aramis. But we have forgiven him. There was no other crime? Fouquet said. There was no other crime, Aramis replied. So here, guys, he asked him to write him a letter to get Philip out of the prison, but he lied to him. Aramis lied to Monsieur, and he told him that his name was Selden. He never told him Philip. We gotta think about that and why. And then he asked him why, what is the reason he's in the prison. He told him that he wrote some unkind words about the bishops of France. Really? That was the reason? But in the beginning of the story, we said that the young man said there was no reason for him to be in prison. He did no crime to be in prison. But why did he lie to him here? Why the lie? So, Fouquet went to his desk and he wrote the order on a piece of paper. He gave it to Aramis. This will release Selden, Fouquet said. The bishop smiled. Thank you, my friend, he said. So he really gave him the letter, and he told him that this letter will get your guy, Selden, out of the prison. And he thanked him and went. My questions. What did Aramis want from Monsieur? Number two, what did Aramis tell him about the young boy's name and crime? Number three, is the young man going to be released based on the letter Monsieur wrote? Number four, why do you think Aramis lied about the prisoner's information? Think about those questions, guys. It was a short lesson, but I hope that you enjoyed this chapter. Please, for better understanding, please answer the questions in every slide because they are really, really important. And in the end of the week, inshallah, we will share the answer key with you. Then you make sure of your answers if they are correct or not. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed the lesson. This is the end of it. Stay safe. Stay home, guys. Thank you.